actually, we have a show that's on Disney Plus and on Disney Channel called Amphibia. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Amphibia. Tonight is the final episode. They end the series. They actually have an ending. But so I'm taping it now. I haven't even seen it, except my lines and which we recorded at my studio at my house. So I haven't seen it yet either. So when I get home, I get to see my last episode of Amphibia. Also on Disney Plus, we have a show called It's a Dog's Life, because I love dogs, and where I got to go around and I got to sell that to Disney, produce it, and star in it. So that was a big thrill for me, and my wife and a friend who kind of came up with the show with me. So it's been a wonderful ride with Disney thus far, and coming back to Halloween, my first love. So
Excellent.
It's so great to be here.
So Goof Troop was that first kind of mainstay
Yes.
for Goofy. So 5 years before that, you were still doing Goofy. What kind of stuff was it? Was it just like, hey, we need a welcome message at a theme park?
Well, actually, the second thing I ever did as Goofy was a show called it was takeoff of MTV, and they had DTV, and they had a show called Disney's Doggone Valentine, where they take cartoons and they mash them up with popular songs of the day and everything. And I just did one line in that, and I think I said it was from like Autopia, which if you ever had to go to driver's school, they'll usually show that cartoon of Goofy driving bad and then good. And I had to loop a line in an old cartoon. I said, I put my foot on the gas and I'm out of here quick. And that's all I said. But it was terrifying. First time I'd been in a studio. Didn't know if I'd ever get another job with them or not, but they kept calling me back. And the second one was called Disney's Monster Hits.
Oh.
And I got to work with my first celebrity then, a guy named Gary Owens, who, if you remember, Laugh-In. And he had that kind of big voice like this and always put his hand over his ear. And we got to share a microphone and do an opening, the old Peacock opening for NBC. And he said, the following program is brought to you in living color, in stereo, from NBC. And I was so excited. I got to work with a celebrity and on the same microphone, and it was just, yeah, I was nervous as heck, and but it was a fond memory.
Awesome. I'm going to steal the spotlight for a second because you reminded me of something. Something I do on my podcast is a lot of trivia stuff, and I'm curious, does anybody know, do you even know, you were talking about the NBC intro, and the ding, ding, ding. Does anybody know what musical notes those are, and why? Do you know?
I have no idea.
It is a G, an E, and a C because the General Electric Company owned NBC.
That's a great trivia.
Isn't that crazy? True story. Didn't make that up. So we get to Goof Troop. We get to Halloweenies is the episode. How excited are you? You're like, now, I know for me, Halloween specials and TV shows are like so huge for me. So like when you get to be a fan of Halloween, you get to be doing your show, Goof Troop.
Yes.
How stoked are you to see the script come across the table?
Totally fun. Anything to do with Halloween, I'm just into it. And Halloween, I actually had to watch it the other day on Disney Plus because it's been like since 1990. So yeah, and I go, okay, I could have acted in that scene better, and that's what I'm kind of doing now. But that was early on, and I was kind of learning the ropes. But it was a great cast and a lot of fun doing that. I think I did 84 or 88 episodes of Goof Troop.
Wow. And I remember at the beginning of that episode, we got a very cool, iconic dark ride, spooky dark ride. I'm curious, did anybody else grow up with those? I had like an amusement park near me in New Hampshire, where they just had like a traditional Halloween dark ride year round. Did anybody else have that experience? You?
Newport Beach.
Newport Beach. Did you ever have?
Scary dark ride.
No.
Mine was called the Mine of the Lost Souls. None of you had that?
Cool.
I guess
No.
if you grew up here, you had the Haunted Mansion. So you're like,
Kansas, we didn't have any.
you didn't have anything like that. Oh man, such a bummer. Now it's funny. You said you were watching the episode and you actually recognized your voice in a couple of other roles.
Yeah, there's a couple of incidental voices. Normally they get, for the same price they're paying you, they get you to do 3 different voices. And so they'll give you like, you're the hot dog vendor, you're the guy in the balloon, you're the storekeeper, whatever, and they'll just say, you're it. And there's a couple in there that I recognized my voice that I was doing. Maybe people can quiz or something after.
Yeah, so pay attention, see if you recognize it. I did feel like there was a bit of a Lonesome Ghosts tribute in the
Yes.
episode. If anybody know the old Lonesome Ghosts short from Disney? Yeah. Cool. Plug, we'll be screening that as part of Disney Night next Friday. Plug, sugarmint.com/events. So, yeah, you also did a Frankengoof episode. We're not
Yes, we
watching
did.
that tonight, but that's a Goof Troop episode.
Yeah.
I know you're a huge Frankenstein fan.
Oh yes,
Right?
oh yes.
Any of this influence from you? Like, hey guys, maybe try a Frankengoof sort of
We
thing?
have on what we call the Mickey Shorts, we had a Halloween episode, the scariest story ever told. It's a Halloween special, 22-minute one. It came out about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's like a trilogy, a kind of a Frankenstein one, where Goofy is Dr. Frankenstein, Mickey's the monster, and Donald is Igor, or Duckor, as he is in the cartoon. That was great to do, because, yeah, I'm a Frankenstein fan. We had a vampire one, we had a Wolfman one, and yeah, anything that I can associate myself with that genre in Halloween just makes me happy.
All right, I'm curious. Have any of you seen the Mickey Short Ghoul Friend? Have you seen this where it's like zombie Goofy?
Yeah.
And Frank, first of all, let's talk about these Mickey shorts a little bit.
Yeah, they're different.
These are like the new Mickey shorts. If you know Mickey
Yeah.
and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it's kind of that sort of animation.
Right.
A little bit more adult tone than
Right.
the friendly Disney Junior stuff.
Yeah, it's we get away with stuff on that show that we can't do on this traditional,
So yeah,
the
so-
standard Goofy stuff.
And there's like a literal, it's a terrifying looking Goofy. Like,
Yeah, it's more Dippy Dog. The way he looked back in 1932 is his look. He's got a tail. He's not wearing pants. He's got a vest, and he's a little bit a little simpler, kind of dumber, if you will, and sillier. And we can get away with so much on that. First of all, when I saw that Goofy's going to be a zombie. Oh my gosh, that was so cool to me. I thought, wow, we could never do this before.
I remember the first time I interviewed you, you were like so excited about that, and I can't remember if you had just recorded it or not, but you were so excited, and then I saw it, and I'm like, it's probably the least voiceover you've ever done. It's groans.
I'm doing some groans, some kind of weird kind of sound effects mostly, but I still love it because I just love how.
So I'm curious, when you're doing something like that, like, what do you know what's going on screen, or is it a director saying like, "Hey, you're being chased," like groans?
That's pretty much it, because we don't see an animatic, or they always animate after the soundtrack's done. So I don't get to see any of this stuff. So I don't know what Mickey's saying. I don't hear what he's saying. I just have to do it solo. And so they have to say, okay, Goofy's a zombie. Okay, what comes to mind? Until I saw the cartoon, I had no idea. I had my own idea of what it was, and then you see it, oh, that's what they came up with. So it's a big surprise to me as well as everybody else watching the cartoon. But you just kind of let your imagination run wild and go with it.
So unlike live action, like, you're not getting a full script at any
No.
point. You're getting pages of Goofy lines.
Well, no, I am getting the full script on a cartoon. Like we would get the full script, and I can read that, and I get a pretty good sense of what they're going for. But what it looks like, there's no pictures accompanying it. They haven't been drawn yet. So it's kind of up here. It's like, okay, how are they going to do that? Mickey's in a giant balloon. What's the balloon going to look like? I don't know.
So what was your thought the first time you saw Zombie Goofy?
Well, I was thinking, of course, Night of the Living Dead kind of, zombie, and I knew he'd be kind of horrifying. But I figured Disney, they're not gonna, make him too scary. But they did. They made him bones and everything, missing eye and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of grossed him up a little bit. I thought it was fun.
So, that's a very different Goofy than most of the stuff.
Yes.
It's different than Parks Goofy, different than Disney Junior Goofy. How many Goofies are there for you when it comes to performing?
Well, it totally depends on the project. Goof Troop Goofy was high energy. It was kind of a Saturday morning. They were going bigger, louder, quicker, that kind of thing. Goofy Movie, we had to add a lot of emotions to him that he never had before. He's worrying about Max, getting in trouble and stuff. So that was kind of difficult because, okay, how do you make Goofy sad and worried and all of these other emotions, add these layers to him and still make it sound like Goofy? That was difficult and took a while to achieve. The Mickey Shorts Goofy, I think of him as Dippy Dog rather than Goofy, so I can kind of, in my mind, separate him so I can just get as wild as they want, and they can pull me back. They see what they can get away with and get in there. But it's a hilarious stuff. I love doing it. Unfortunately, we aren't recording any more of those, but it's still.
Oh, the Mickey Shorts are done?
They are.
Oh man.
They are.
Wow. They'll be back.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, they always want more content, so
That's right.
you'll be good.
They're back. They're gone for now.
Yeah. I want to transition to the parks for a second. Any Disneyland, Disney Parks fans here? Excellent. So, one of the cool things about the parks is always the holidays, of course, and Halloween is my favorite day of the year. Anybody else? I have a feeling a large amount of these folks, yes, excellent. So, I would assume every year or two, there's new Halloween goofy stuff to record, yeah?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, a lot of times they'll take an existing show and they'll update it.
Okay.
We did that with a show recently that's in front of the castle at Walt Disney World. It wasn't a Halloween or anything, but just the regular show that they have. So you never know what they're going to do, but occasionally they will give us new lines. In the same way that they now have the Halloween Haunted Mansion, which is the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion that they bring out, and that's become kind of a staple, and people love to see that. So they bring it back every year.
Did you record anything new for the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that we're getting at Disneyland?
Oh yes.
You recorded new stuff for Disneyland?
No, I have not yet. I'm hearing that
I was like, breaking news, breaking news.
No, I'm always the last to know because they write this stuff, they get it all polished, everything ready, and then they give it us to record, and then they take that soundtrack and they create the final soundtrack, and then they animate it.
Okay. A few years back, there was Mickey's Trick or Treat for Oogie Boogie Bash, so that was a new show for you.
Yes.
Was that probably like the newest Disney
That's
parks?
probably about the newest that I can remember offhand, but we do new stuff, it seems like every week, so keeping it in track of 4,000 things, I can't.
Did you ever do a Disney park or a Disney Halloween album? I know you did a ton of albums. I'm sure you've done.
We did one where I sang the Monster Mash.
Oh.
And
can you do
also, there's one. Yeah.
Can we hear you sing the Monster Mash?
I was working in the lab late one night. My eyes beheld a scary sight. A monster in the slab. That's about all I can remember. Two other ones that we did. One called Which is Which with Goofy and Mickey, and a little just kind of line here and two and some other songs. But we did for a period all sorts of albums where we were doing food songs, camping songs, circus songs, Christmas songs, Halloween songs, and that's an album that I really enjoyed doing. The Monster Mash, I grew up with.
Now you say that you're the last to know in the pipeline of things, but when it comes to doing like a Halloween project for the parks, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but Walt Disney World Halloween starts in August, which is crazy.
Yes.
So how soon are you recording that stuff?
Sometimes very close to the event. Sometimes they'll come up with an idea that they want to add to something that they've already done, and it can be as little as a couple of weeks. Other times it can be 8-9 months ahead, especially with Christmas. We've already done some Christmas stuff for the upcoming Christmas, so but there'll be more probably in around October, I would imagine. And they never give me that much of a lead. Like what I'm doing next week, I have no idea.
Do you know if there's even a job next week?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So Goofy is obviously, Goofy and Pluto are your mainstay, but you do a ton of other voices. Are there any that like folks would know by name? That...
Oh well, not necessarily with Disney. If anyone saw the movie Space Jam back in 1995, I did Sylvester, Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn, and I did Bugs and Daffy and the Robot Chicken. I did a series called, well, of course, the one that ends tonight, Amphibia, where I play a frog named Hop Pop, and which is a lot of fun because I got to come up with a voice as opposed to Goofy, which had been around since 1932. I got to come up with my own voice, and they liked that, and so it was a little bit more organic in some ways. And one called the 7D, a series where we did we were the Seven Dwarves. I was Doc in that. Of the traditional dwarves, I'm Sleepy whenever they need that, but they don't use that very much. Like the ride in at Walt Disney World, I'm in
Seven
that,
Dwarfs
the
Mine
Seven
Train.
Dwarfs, yes. A lot of movies where you wouldn't know that I'm doing ancillary voices, like in Toy Story,
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, he has the most epic credit.
Oh, I do the most obscure thing I've ever done in my life. In the scene where Gaston is talking about decorating with antlers and singing this song, he throws 3 eggs up in the air and he goes, that's me. I'm eggs. It's on my resume. And I was a lot of the villagers attacking the castle, and they have what's called an ADR group, additional dialogue recording. Adding, like 10, 12 of us in a big studio on the Disney lot, and we add we need that guy to make a sound or a line. And like in Toy Story, the mission control voice when they're going through the Pizza Planet, T-minus 29, 28, getting ready for lunch, those kind of things. And not just for Disney too, I did another dog actually in the movie Sing. So I did a dog reporter, and the Lorax and of course, Toy Story 2 and Bugs Life, Monsters Inc., Monster University.
You don't have to give it the whole resume. It's
You
done a
can
lot.
go on IMDb and see all this stuff. That's what I have to check.
This
Oh,
is a question for all of you. You've heard Bill talking here for a while. Obviously, we've heard him do Goofy. I just wonder, how many of you hear Goofy when he's just like talking?
Oh yeah, it's in there. We've melded into one.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty close, hasn't it?
Yes.
Now, this is a bit of an unfair question, but do you have a favorite Goofy project?
It's very hard to pick one. Actually, of the Mickey shorts, there's 2 that I like. I love the one we're going to watch tonight, Dual Friend. And there's Wonders of the Deep, where they go down in a submarine with Louis John Drake, which is a lot of fun. Muhule Melody, I think it's Muhule Melody, where they're in Hawaii. And oh my gosh, there's so many. But I'd have to say overall, just because the fans love it so much and it was a big thing in my life, was a Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Because I got to see it in a theater with an audience, and that's so cool to hear people react to what you're doing. We don't get that when we're in a studio and we just read the lines and that's it. And we can see it on TV and go, oh, that's cool, I like that. But you don't hear what people think. In a theater, wow, it's up on a screen and it's really cool to hear. And especially, if I don't really critique my acting too much, you can get caught up in that going, oh, they picked that line, why did they do it? I could have done that better. Let me do it again. If you don't get into that, you can enjoy the movie for what it is.
And the crazy thing about a Goofy movie is it seems to keep getting bigger and bigger as time
It
passes.
does,
It's like,
yes.
Yeah, Goofy movie fans, I assume. Yeah, like the music's incredible. Goofy gets to sing in that,
Yes.
which is nice. Yeah.
Which is the first thing we did in the movie, by the way, day one.
Oh, really?
Songs first.
Oh, maybe a Goofy movie needs to head to the stage. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a stage musical of it.
We were going to do that. We were going to do a thing maybe
Second one?
at the Hollywood Bowl. We were
Oh.
talking about doing a thing. And then it got downgraded to the Greek Theater, and then COVID hit.
So guys, that means it's gonna come. I'm sorry, that is not off the table.
Well, and
Holy crap.
2025 will be 30 years, so it might be.
Hollywood Bowl, get your tickets. My gosh, that's gonna be cool. I love that.
We'll pitch that again.
Now, something I'm sure nobody knows about is
Huh?
Desert Shadows.
Oh, that's not
Say
fair.
that. Yeah.
Okay, he gets killed in a horror movie, like you're gonna see him get murdered on screen in a movie coming out called Desert Shadows.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine put it together up in Reno, and it's actually one of the cinematographers is a good friend of mine. He was a cameraman on the show The Amazing Race. He helped me develop It's a Dog's Life.
Oh, cool.
And so he was helping shoot this movie up there, and they just needed some actors. And I said, oh, can I be in it? I said, I want to be in it, but I want to get killed by the monster. That was my big bucket list. I wanted
Halloween
to get killed
fan.
by the monster.
Halloween.
Yes, so there's the Halloween thing. So I went up there, and I get killed in a very weird, fun way.
Awesome. Now, folks, those are the questions I got. I think you got a few more minutes.
Sure.
Let's see if any of you guys have questions. This is your chance. Ask Phil Farmer anything you want. Sure, what's up?
What's your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Favorite ride at Disneyland?
Well, what do you think? Haunted Mansion. I've never gone to Disneyland where I haven't gone on the Haunted Mansion and the Pirates, because me, that's quintessentially Disney. But the fast ones too. I love Space Mountain. I love Indiana Jones. I got to go to the opening of that, which was so cool. My son was with me, and he was just about 5 or 6 then, and we got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who's that? He doesn't remember it at all. He's so mad, And he got to go on the ride, although he wasn't tall enough for the bar, To get him on the ride, he wants to. And my wife was worried about this. Oh, he's going to be traumatically scarred for life. And he came off, and he goes, "That was so cool."
That's awesome. Sure, what's up?
Yeah, as long as we're next to the Michael Myers house, I'm just curious, what's your favorite horror movie?
I grew up. I'm older, so the first movie I remember is seeing on TV as King Kong. The thing that made me want to get into the show business was the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and I got to meet Ray Harryhausen and talk with him a little bit, which is a big thing for me, because that is where I was just oh my gosh, the stop motion animation was so real to me, and I think that was his first color one, and there's dragons and cyclops and all sorts skeletons fighting it was just amazing. And I just thought then, way back in Kansas, oh, someday I just love to be in that business. And it took a long time to get out here, but it did happen.
You talked a little bit about your favorite Goofy project. Of the other voices that you do, Sylvester, whatever, who's your favorite to do?
Of the Warner Brothers characters, my favorite's Foghorn Leghorn. He's a big old chicken. That boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. I enjoy him as the character most of the Disney characters, Goofy, and I love Pluto. We always forget Pluto, but these had a lot of great cartoons and series. There's an unusual one that we're doing is produced in France called Chippendale's can't even remember. Chippendale. It's a Chippendale one with Pluto. No, it's not Rescue Rangers. It's Park Life.
Okay.
It's one from France, but I'm the only American that's doing it. But I can do Goofy and Pluto in about any language. In German, woo! In French, woo!
Is there a particular memory that stands out in your mind, like having interacted with a fan as Goofy, that stands out to just you, that says this is really important to me, and I'm so glad that I get to do this?
Oh, there's so many memories that come to mind. Fans that I've met. We were talking earlier. I think the most amazing fan that I saw, I got to introduce to Muhammad Ali once, and we were down in Florida at an event. And I told him who I was, what I did, and he goes, "Do you ever talk to kids in hospitals?" And I said, "Yeah, from time to time I'll talk to kids on Make-A-Wish Foundation, Famous Phone Friends, someone wants to talk to Mickey or Goofy, and we do that." And then he shook my hand and said, "Man, and you're my hero." And I just, think I pooped. He was so great. That was a big one. My whole career, probably my biggest. My award, I became a Disney legend in 2009, the D23, and ours was the first one in public.
Was there anybody else there? Excellent.
Oh my gosh, that was just surreal. And going up, and with Robin Williams got his that day, and Betty White, and posthumously some of the Golden Girls, Donna Iwerks, I think, of Iwerks' son, and Leota Toombs, who was the floating head in the
Madame Leota.
Mansion. And she was also a designer, I think, of costume. Yes, and she got hers posthumously the same day. So another Halloween time.
Very nice. think we've probably got a couple more questions. What's up?
How did you discover that you had this talent for making voices?
When I was a kid, I was a weird kid, and I just would watch cartoons, and not just cartoons, but like movie stars and stuff, and I would try and do the voice. I think one of the first ones I did was Don Adams on Get Smart, and Don Adams on Get Smart, you know. And then there were comedians. There was Jack Benny and George Barnes. So I'd come to dinner and I'd try these on my parents. I'd like some more mashed potatoes and a cigar, you know. And my parents, my dad would like, he didn't quite know what to think. Something's wrong. And so it became just a cool thing with my friends. And when we got old enough to drive, we'd drive through places like Burger King or McDonald's and order in a weird voice. And, I'd like a Whopper with cheese, and our kid would like a Coca-Cola. And they'd laugh and everything. It was a big joke and stuff. But then when I got in radio, I started adding characters to my script. And then I got into stand-up comedy back in Dallas from 1982 until I moved to California in 1986 and got the role that changed everything. So, yeah, it was a long 12 years from out of college to getting out to California. It took me a while.
Is there anybody who hasn't asked yet? Way in the back there in the yellow.
Hey there. At the start of Goofy Movie, Max has an incredible nightmare where he's bursting through his own growth and turning into Goofy. I just wondered, in your spirit tonight, have you ever had a similar Goofy-related nightmare?
No, my wife may have. I don't know. That's interesting because there is, and that is actually both me and Jason doing the laugh, and they put them together.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
But you don't really hear it unless you really listen carefully. But we both did the laugh at the same time, and they took those and they blended them, fading from one to another, kind of panned it across.
Very cool. I think I saw 1, 2, and then we're gonna say goodbye. So go ahead.
Watch cartoons.
Yeah.
Before I ask the question, I just wanted to say I think we're all very grateful and happy to be here because you made a lot of our childhoods wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, for real.
People always tell me, people back home, hey, you're getting old enough, why don't you retire? And I said, why? I love doing this job. It's, at the most, it's 1 to 2 days a week and only for a couple of hours. You can do a cartoon in a couple of hours. And to get all the fun that I do, I'm never going to quit. I'm taking Goofy with me.
Me personally, I love your version of some of our games. I it's just like part of my childhood. So I just want to say that. And then I was wondering if you could say I like some of the games.
Oh, gosh. Worse, Sora. It's the Heartless, That's actually really difficult to do because it was done in Japan first, so I'm hearing the Japanese Goofy in my headphones. I'm replacing it with English dialogue. And he learned how to do the voice by listening to tapes of me. So I'm hearing it back. So when he does the laugh, I can hear what he was doing, so I'll do it. It's like that. When he did it, he broke it down into 3 distinct parts, and it sounds more like, It's very hard. But, it's difficult because everything else is in Japanese, so I don't hear the lines before or after, and there's thousands of lines that we do. It's not like a story. A cartoon may be on a 30-page thing or 20-page treatment, and it's linear. You go from the beginning to the end. On a game, there's no, it's like, okay, go to page 18, now go to page 43, go to page 118, stuff like this, and we'll do these lines, and it's out of sync, and I have to do it to picture, as close as I can to the lip flaps of the Japanese actor, so that they have less reanimation to do, and because that costs a lot of money. And Japanese is a little quicker tempo than English is. So I have to hurry my Goofy to get the same amount of words in the same spot. I got like 3.4 seconds to say whatever. Come on, Sora, let's go. And so I have to do that over and over. And so So I sit in a room for about 4 hours doing lines and lines, and then come back in a week and do more and more. And it's the longest running thing that we've done. I mean, it started, I think, came out 2000, I think, wasn't it? The first game?
2002.
2002 to when it came out just a year or so ago, and there's, you know, they never tell me if they're going to do more. They'll just kind of call me up. We want you next week at the studio to do, and hopefully they'll do it again. So
When you do the 3-part laugh, I hear the eggs. I can hear the eggs. Yes. Alrighty.